This is for the lost and lonely, for the broken and afraid. This is for those who are hurting, hoping help is on the way. In these battles of addiction, fear is chasing after me. Whatever troubles I am facing, oh yeah, I will lift my hands and sing.
I believe in miracle power, in a wonder-working God. I'm filled with the Holy Spirit, working wonders in my heart. I belong to a loving Father. I'm a friend of Christ, His Son. When it feels like I won't make it, I call on Jesus. Sometimes it's so hard being human. So much struggle, so much pain. Yes, there is. When I start singing hallelujah, I say goodbye to every chain. I believe in miracle power, in a wonder-working God. I'm filled with the Holy Spirit, He's working wonders in my heart. I belong to a loving Father. I'm a friend of Christ, His Son. When it feels like I won't make it, I call on Jesus. I may not know what a day may bring, but I know who brings a day. On the darkest night, when I cannot see, still my soul will say, oh, I may not know what the day may bring, but I know who brings a day. On the darkest night, when I cannot see, still my soul will say, my soul will say, I believe in miracle power, in a wonder-working God. I'm filled with the Holy Spirit, He's working wonders in my heart. I belong to a loving Father. I'm a friend of Christ, His Son. When it feels like I can't make it, I call on Jesus.
Come on and lift him up.
So good, so good, so good. I need miracle power every day. Coffee's not enough. I need miracle power to get out of bed. I need miracle power to get in the car to drive here. I need miracle power to be on stage. It is so good to see you guys. It's so good to be here. My name is Noah Everly. My wife Kylie and I have been coming to New Vintage for a year and a half now. We moved down the street. Thank you. Wow. Wow. I was not expecting that. Actually expecting a little more applause. I mean, I don't know. We'll throw some candy out to get the morning started. I'm sorry. So good. So good. Yeah. Yeah. Lyle. Yay. This side. This side. You get candy and you get candy. We are so grateful that you're here. If it's your first time with us this morning, I want to invite you guys to the back of the room after the service. DARREN YOUNGSTROM, our lead pastor, would love to meet you on the red carpet. He has a gift for you. We're just so grateful that you guys are here. Kylie and I, my wife, we welcomed our new baby, Adelie, to the world 2 months ago, which is awesome. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and we feel like 2 years ago we didn't even know some of you, and now we can't even picture our lives without some of you. It's so much fun. I've been volunteering with Transit, which is our middle school. Yeah, thank you. Our middle school students, and so there's Inside Out going on over there. And if you see today, there's kids dressed up. So Wambaland and Upstreet over here on campus this morning, they're having their mega awesome costume party. Say that 3 times fast. Mega awesome costume party. So thank a small group leader if you see them. They're dressed up as well, those adults. And it's just going to be a fun day today. There's a lot of fun things going on. Tonight at 5 o'clock, we have our Transit Halloween party. 5:30 is Inside Out party. And, there's going to be costumes. There's going to be games. There's going to be Chick-fil-A. And somebody over here, I just saw, they go, it's Sunday. There's no Chick-fil-A on Sunday. Natalie Goodrich effect, people. We got Chick-fil-A on Sunday because of Natalie Goodrich. And so it's going to be unbelievable. It's so exciting. I'm excited to be here, and we're gonna get the morning continued with Maureen and Lori, and they're gonna mention a couple of things that you can get involved with. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Hi, everyone. Like you said, my name is Maureen, and this is Lori, and we are advocates with Foster the City. And I just have to tell you, I thought Lori was a squirrel. But did anybody else think she was a squirrel? Like, tell me I'm not crazy, right?
Somebody else did.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
You're not the only one.
What do you think she is? I was closer. Tell them what you were.
All right. Well, the reason Bambi is standing up in front of you this morning is...
Bambi! Okay, it's obvious now, but it wasn't earlier. But the little scruff in front. Well, anyway, we are your advocates with Foster the City, and a couple times a year we get up here and we just let you know about this amazing organization that our church has partnered with, and we want to tell you a little more about it.
Yeah. So the reason Bambi's up here today is because we do have the mega awesome costume party, and that's because New Vintage cares about our kids. We also care for the community, and part of the community is the foster children and the foster families that serve those children. So about 1.5 years ago, Maureen and I got involved as advocates for New Vintage Church representing Foster the City. Since we were involved 1.5 years ago, the organization has grown. It used to be just Northern California, now it's Southern California and the state of Nevada. So it's super exciting because behind this mission, it's a coalition of churches to provide a family for every foster child. And if we did that across the nation as churches, there would no longer be a need for foster children to be without parents. So that's super exciting that we can be a part of it. There's several ways you can be a part of it. You can be a support friend that helps support someone who's giving care to children. And there's financial partners, there's other opportunities. But 2 other things that have happened in this church since we started coordinating with Foster the City is last week we got to serve, Maureen and I and a group of people on our serve day, a local agency called Our Village Closet, which provides...
There's our girls right there. We had a good time.
Which provides clothing and equipment for babies and things for teens, grooming items, you name it. It was an amazing experience walking into there and just seeing it's like a little store. So we were able to do that. And then we also have our very own Emma Castor, who's involved with Help One Child, which is also geared toward helping children in foster care. So there's lots of opportunities in this church to serve in this ministry.
Yes. So if you are interested in being a foster family or a foster friend, please come see me. I'll be outside on the grass with a table, and you can just get some more information. There's an interest meeting coming up, and it's just a great way to get involved. So now we get to introduce the next song. Stand up, introduce yourself to the next person next to you, and we're going to sing one of my favorite songs coming up.
I love you, Lord. Oh, you're
stay in this place right now, thinking of the goodness of God, how good He's been to you in your life. Just going to declare these words over us. Sing this out.
May His favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you
Let's declare.
for 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. His favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. His favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies till all my fears are gone. And we declare, I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again to your family. Your blood flows through my veins. From your hearts. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a There's a way back home for the wandering soul. There's a peaceful calm for the restless one. If you're so far gone, you can't see the shore, but just to lift your eyes and look to the Lord. He's walking on the water, he'll calm your agency. Oh, you don't have to look no further, he's the hope that you need. If the sails are torn and tattered, in the storm just won't sink. Take hold of the hand of the Savior, 'cause he's the anchor of peace. He's the anchor of breaking down at the end of my road, when the sweetest sound silenced the noise. Oh, it's the Prince of Peace, the waves know his voice. Just lift your eyes and to the Lord. He's walking on the water, your agency. Oh, you don't have to look no further, he's the hope that you need. The sails are torn and tattered, the storm just won't cease. Take hold of the hand of the Savior, 'cause he's the anchor of peace. Oh, he's the anchor of peace. I was far from the peaceful shore, falling to a hopeless floor. Oh, the wreckage of the fallout, there was no way out. Then I saw the lighthouse. I was singing when I felt open, put my feet back on top land. When I was so far out, love made a way out. Oh, I thank God for the lighthouse. Hey, hey, hey. Water, here come your agency. Oh, you don't have to look no further, it's the hope that you need. The sails are torn and tattered, and the storm just won't cease. Take hold of the hand of the Savior, 'cause he's the anchor of peace. Oh, he's the anchor of peace. He's walking on the water, he'll calm your agency. Come on. Oh, you don't have to look no further, he's the hope that you need. The sails are torn and tattered, the storm still won't cease. Take hold of the hand of the Savior, 'cause he's the anchor of peace. Oh, he's the anchor of peace. Our God is the anchor of peace. Amen. Come on, tell him you love him this morning. Well, God bless you guys. You may have a seat.
So good. I love that song. I love that song. Anchor of peace. We all have fears. We all have insecurities. We all have moments in our lives where we need something. We need something to rely on, right? God is that anchor. He's the anchor of your peace. He's the anchor of your love. He's the anchor for all of that good stuff. It's amazing. I love that line in that song, I thank God for the lighthouse. I love that. In fact, I sing that all the time at our house, and my wife Kylie has actually banned me from, because I try to hit that note that I thank God for the light, and I can't get to that point. Well, what's crazy is I emailed Jeff weekly to get vocal lessons, and he won't. I haven't been hit back, Jeff, but I don't know. It's weird. I always imagine what Steph Curry feels like when he walks on the basketball floor, right? I don't care about that. I want to know what Jeff feels like when he hits that note in front of all of you. That is like incredible. It's unbelievable. But it's so good. That's such a great song, great reminder. How many of you, raise your hand if you were a part of Serve Day last week, last Sunday, Serve Day? So many of you. Amazing. So amazing. Awesome. The team here at New Vintage compiled like 4 hours of content, and they condensed it into a 2 to 3 minute video. We're going to watch that right now. Check it out. That's so awesome. So awesome. You know, there's so many churches out there that are known for what they're against. And I think New Vintage Church is going to be known for what we are for. That's the goal, right? And I think that video really emulates that. New Vintage is for our schools, our teachers, our neighbors, the next generation. It is so amazing to be a part of this. Kylie and I talk all the time about how we feel like there's just something special going on here at New Vintage. We feel like there's something special going on in Santa Rosa. We feel like there's something special going on in Sonoma County. And we are just so grateful to be a part of it. And if it's your first time, again, we just are so grateful that you're here. And we hope the same for you, that you can experience what we're experiencing. Part of what happened from Serve Day was that we were able to make a connection with Luther Burbank Elementary School, which is a low-income elementary school here in Santa Rosa. And we're going to partner with them November 16th at noon and put on a color run for their TK through 6th graders. It's going to be so much fun. Yes, it's going to be amazing. And so what we need is volunteers. We need you. If you're feeling like, hey, I want to get plugged in, I want to get out there and volunteer, this is the event to do that. It's going to be incredible. There's going to be color in the air. We're going to have water bottles for the kids. We're going to make popcorn, give it to the kids. Kylie and I are super excited to be there, and we hope that you would volunteer as well. So if you're interested in that, newvintage.org, click Color Run, and you're going to get all the details all lined out right there. It's awesome. It's super easy. Another thing that we're super excited about is Kylie and I got to meet a couple that goes here to New Vintage, Brian and Ellen, and we went up to Kaleidoscope, a little toy shop in Montgomery Village Shopping Center, and we were able to get the first batch of toys for Bailey's Gift Shop that's going to happen this holiday season in December over there. Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good. We had a blast picking toys out. It was really fun. Legos are way more intricate than I remember them ever being. But we're like 10% of the way there. Our goal is $40,000. We want to buy 1,600 toys to serve 800 kids. And so if you feel like, hey, I don't really know what Bailey's is a gift shop. It's a shopping spree for families that are in need. And so this holiday season, they can go there. They can pick toys out for their kids at no cost to them. And we just want to bring some holiday cheer to some families here in Sonoma County. So that's what that's all about. If you are like feeling, I'm compelled, I want to get involved with that, on your way out of here today, there's a card. On one side, there's a QR code. It says serve. On the other side, there's a QR code, and it says give. If you feel like you're in a position financially to give, we would love that from you. If you feel like you're in a position to serve your time and you want to be at Bailey's Gift Shop putting toys on shelves, checking people in, there's a place for everybody here. And so grab one of those on your way out. Again, we are so grateful you're here. If it's your first time after the service, Darren wants to meet you on the red carpet. He has a gift for you. In just a minute, he's going to replace me on stage, and he has a great message for us today. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Are you good with money?
That seems like a no.
What financial advice would you give me? What have you guys learned?
Start building your credit early.
Do you guys think credit cards are good?
If you have like a $13,000 limit, make sure you stay under 20% of that limit at all times, because that'll go on your credit score.
So I need to get a high limit so I can spend a lot on it.
Well, just within your limit.
Who decides the limit?
The government, I'm sure.
I'll call them.
Yeah.
Diversify. You have all kinds. You go into all those different Fidelity. What's the one that everyone has?
Bitcoin.
No.
Seems like half the people are saying invest in cryptocurrency and the other half are saying buy gold.
Now, I would say that's a better bet.
Buy gold?
Yes, it's tangible.
Isn't that just for like old people to do that?
No.
But what is your actual financial advice? You said you know how to budget.
I know how to budget and things, I just don't. Rents, car insurance.
We did premarital counseling, and we learned that to her, money represents fun, and to me, money represents safety.
Yeah, that's me and my.
So I bought a flamethrower to protect us with. That's also very fun. Trying to figure out combining our finances and stuff.
Keep a separate account. Don't put it all into one.
Just in case.
And I'm not married, so I'm saying that, and it may turn out to be totally different.
Her money is her money. Your money is her money.
You don't have
any money. So that's how it works.
And maybe she doesn't need to know about it, because if she knows about it, that may not go over to you.
Where do I get money?
You just ask her. You have to ask her. That's right.
But if she ever finds out about it, I'll be like, well, I didn't lie to you because you never asked.
That is true.
I just didn't tell you.
That's true. I like the way you think.
I like the way yeah, we got this figured out, I think.
Yeah, we got it figured out. Exactly. Well, good morning. Welcome to New Vintage. We are going to be talking about money today. That is Andrew Stanley, who is now a comedian, but who was once a student in my youth group. And so I knew a long time ago that he was very funny, and so he has done a great job. He's traveling all over the country now doing comedy. He used to win a comedy contest in Atlanta, and he would tell his mom which ones she was allowed to come to because some were very dirty. And so he would say, none of his jokes were, but the funniest part was he would win all of these contests with not one single dirty joke. It was amazing, really cool. He would just walk in and tell jokes about homeschooling and missionaries. So it was pretty funny. So anyway, great guy. But before I get into what I'm talking about today, this is a sermon, right? That's what people call this. What I'm doing, it's a message. It's a people call it a word, from I don't know what you call it, a talk, a thing that I'm saying. But last week, you all went out and you wrote the sermon together. We wrote a sermon last week to the city that we love you, that we care about you, that we are for you. Because I'm going to stand here and say words, but isn't it true that actions speak louder than words? And the actions that we spoke with last week made a big difference. Words don't always make a difference. If we saw all these people at all these organizations and we said, listen, come sit in our church and we'll talk to you about things that need to be done at your place, that wouldn't have done anything, right? Words don't actually do the actions. You gave the sermon last week with your actions, which I thought was really cool. And I want to just give a shout out. Mario and his wife Jenny, they were at Village Elementary, and Mario built this bench with the team there. He designed it himself, came up with it, built it the week before, brought the pieces in. We went over to the school, and he goes, well, I'll look around for some designs and see if I can find something. Because he saw the tree, and he said, one bench is too small. We can't have one bench. You guys need 3 benches that wraps around it. That's what you need. I'm like, okay, Mario, I don't know, And so he builds this in advance, and then they weren't finished on Sunday. He was like, dang, we didn't finish. So he and his family went back on Saturday, yesterday, gave up their Saturday to paint it to make it more appropriate for the school. And so look how cool that is that he did that. So that's a sermon. That's a message, right? That's a way better sermon than what you're going to get today. And so such a cool thing. James, the half-brother of Jesus, wrote a little bit of the New Testament in a letter that's entitled James. It's a very clever title system they have in the Bible. And James doesn't say actions speak louder than words. He says faith without works is dead. And we don't want to have a dead faith. We don't have a faith that we just say we have faith, but we don't do anything with it. We want to have a faith that moves us into action. That we actually, as a church, we have a posture of being for other people. That's what we do. That we don't just do a serve day. We check the box. We did our service. No, we're already on to Bailey's Christmas Shop, and we're on to Luther Burbank. Someone sitting in this room has made it possible for us to give every single kid at Luther Burbank a free T-shirt to go along with the color run. How cool is that we're going to be able to give 350 kids, here's your T-shirt, so we don't mess up your clothes on this event. So cool. And that's the kind of sermon I like. That's the message I like sending to the community, that actions speak louder than words, that faith without works is dead. So that's our posture. We don't want to just put others first sometimes. We want to put others first as the rule. That's what I want our story to be as a church. That's the mission. That's the vision. If you're wondering, what's my vision? The vision is that others come first as the rule. Because that's what Jesus did. And he's who we follow. He came and died, making himself nothing so we could become something. He put others before himself. And if we're going to follow him, we have to do the same. So we have to live with a posture of generosity. And that's what I want to talk about today, generosity. And I want to talk about it through the lens of our money. And I know that this morning, this week, as you were preparing your week, as you were going through your week, as you were thinking about coming to church, you were in your brain, you were like, you know what I hope the pastor's talking about this week? I hope it's about money. Like, I've just been wondering the pastor's thoughts about money. I just can't wait. My marriage is falling apart, but tell me about money. My life is in shambles, but I want to hear your thoughts on money this week. I know, I've been sort of disappointed for you this week, okay? I've been like, they're not going to want to hear about this. But at the same time, we got to talk about money in church because Jesus talked about money so much. And nothing on the planet will compete for the position of God in your life more than money. Why? Because look what money offers you. Money offers you security. It offers you power. If you have money, you can do stuff. It offers you control. Now you're in control. You can get people to do things. You can decide when and where and how because you're in control, because you have money. It gives you value. Like, you matter. You're important because look at all the success you have in your life. Money offers you freedom. You can come and go as you want, do as you want, eat what you want, when you want. You have a lifestyle, right? Money offers all those things. And look what God offers you. Oh, security and power and control. And he says, I'll give you value. I'll give you importance, right? I'll give you freedom from your failure and your mess. Like, money and God, they're sort of like, at first glance, they sort of offer the same things. But then you look again, and God also offers mercy, right? God also offers love. God offers wisdom. God offers forgiveness. God offers peace, right? But if you really look at that, you go, well, money can maybe do some of those things too, right? I mean, if I had more money, I'd probably be more merciful, you know? If the reason I'm angry is because I don't have any money. I would love so much better. If I had lots of money, I would just love to have more money. Love with that. And wisdom, if I had more money, I would pay someone to tell me what to do. I don't have wisdom with money. All right? If I had more money, I could forgive way easily. Like, oh, I forgive you. You have nothing. I have everything. It's fine. Forgiveness would be easier. Or maybe like you're like, well, peace, I would be way more peace. So maybe God and money really are the same. But then I just throw the trump card out. This is like the thing that money can't, like eternal life. God gives eternal life, okay? So money can't offer that. And here's the funny part about that. Money is temporary, and we know it. It comes and it goes. So if you do make money your God, you have to live in fear because it could go at any time. So the problem with making money your God is that you have to worry that it could leave you. And making God your God, you don't have to worry about that. Now the funny thing is we know this in our spirit. We know it as a country. We know it as a people because on our money we printed the words, "In God we trust," which is total crap. We don't trust in God. We trust in the green stuff. I feel better when my account is full. Now I feel secure. When my money's running out, I start to freak out. Because in God, I don't trust. I trust in them. But we knew the temptation, and so we tried to print it right on God's competition. Right on the competition, we just put, "No, in God we trust," right? I was thinking it'd be cool if on our Bibles we printed, "In money we trust." Maybe it'd flip it for us. We start trusting God. I don't know, but we don't really trust Him. We trust in this money. And that's the thing, is that we'll always have this competition in our spirit for God and money, and money and God, and which one should I follow? Because you're going to think about money every day. And you're going to interact with money every day. And you're going to spend money every day. And some days you'll save it, and some days you'll give it. Some days you'll invest it. But you're going to think about it, and you'll wonder, do I have enough for retirement? Am I doing well compared to them? Do I have enough for the lifestyle that I want? And it can become really consuming. And so today I just have something for you. I just have some advice. All right? I just have advice that you don't have to follow it. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. This is just advice that really it comes from a place of wisdom. And wisdom is just this idea that wisdom is insights, right, that are informed by the knowledge that life is connected. In other words, you learn something over here, and you realize it applies to this thing too, and it applies to this thing too. This is just what wisdom is. You learn it along the way, and then you apply it to different places. So today I have some wisdom for you. And the wisdom, if I could boil it down into 2 words, it's this: live generous. That's the goal, that we would live generous. Now, I know for some of you, you don't like it because it's not generously like it should be. And so grammar snobs, once again, just high alert. I get it. You're like, he didn't do that right. Right? I get it. But I did that on purpose, okay? Live generous, because I want to compare it to what you all already know how to do, which is be generous. We all know how to be generous. We all know how to give. We all know in those moments when our heartstrings get pulled that we want to give to that. We want to give. And I can be generous, and you can be generous. We can all be generous, but there's a big difference between be generous and live generous. And some of you are going to push back against this, right? And you're going to say, I don't know if I'm not generous. I do give. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I think that if you will live generous, if you'll learn to live generous, then that possibility of all of this consuming you begins to fade, and you will be less consumed if you live generous. You'll be less consumed if you live generous. The other day, I think we're all prone to consumption, right? We're all prone to like wanting everything. I have a 3-year-old. I think it's wired into us. Smith got a hold of this catalog from Walmart, and he circled everything in the catalog, and he came to me and he said, "Dad, I want to show you what I want for my birthday." I was like, "What is it?" So we sat there, we went page by page through this thick catalog. And he goes, "I want this, and this, and this, and this. I want this, and this, and this, and this, and this." And I'm not joking. I didn't make this up for this sermon. He came to me the next morning, woke me up out of my bed with that magazine in his hand. He said, "Dad, can I show you the book again? Can I show you the book again?" We go to the store. We're leaving the house. He goes, oh, I need my book. I got to take my book with me. He wants that book everywhere with him so everyone can know, this is what I want. This is what, and he thinks he's getting it. So I need to do a separate offering for, no. He thinks he's getting it. And I'm like, you're insane, bro. But here's the thing. I can't even hate on it because I'm the same way. I drive around, I look around, I see things, I see the ads, I'm like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want one of those, I want one of those. Ooh, that's cool. Every time I see a Jeep Wrangler, I'm like, I'll take 2, please, thank you. I want one of those. When people have cool Jeep Wranglers with cool stuff on it, and like the gas tank on the back, the metal gas can, I'm just like, oh, you're so cool. I wish I could be like you. I want your life. Give it to me now. You know, that's what I feel like sometimes when I look around at the world. There's stuff you have, there's stuff you see that you just wish you had. You just want it, I want it all. I'm just like him, and if I'm not careful, I get consumed, and if we're not careful, when it comes to money, we end up consumed. And I don't want you to be consumed in your head, in your heart, in your fears, in your worries, with your money. That's not a good way to live, and I don't want you and I to live that way. And one of the things I think Americans confuse, and they think they're generous, is because they do random acts of giving. People do random acts of giving. Most people participate in some kind of random acts of giving. And so you think, well, I'm generous. And so you're going to push back today. And you're going to say, don't say I'm not generous. I give sometimes. And I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. But in the same way, if I could enter your arguments in your home, and your wife or your husband says, you never do the dishes, I'm sure you could point to a time in 2018 when you did the dishes. Right? There was a time when you took the garbage out that one time. Remember, don't say, I'm not serving you. I served you in 2012. Right? So you probably did do some random acts of serving, but isn't it true that in your home, a lifestyle of serving each other is different than some random acts of serving along the way? And the same thing's true about giving and generosity. Generosity is way different than random acts of giving. The kind of generosity I want to talk about today is life-changing. It's life-giving. It's good for you. It's good for our world. It's what's best. It's the way we're wired. I'm convinced that God has wired us and created us to be best when we have the proper relationship with Him and the proper relationship with money. So I want to talk about it today. I want to talk about, before we get there, where this comes from. A lot of this is from a guy named Andy Stanley, who's the father of Andrew Stanley, who was in that video, who was in my youth group. Andy was my pastor for a long time. I've listened to Andy Stanley give messages about money for 20 years. I've probably heard him give 25 messages like this one to me, and it reshaped the way I think about my money. And I kind of grew up with this already, so it was pretty easy for me. In fact, this is going to be easier for me than it is for some of you in the room, right? If I came to you and you've never been doing this your whole life, and I come to you and you're at the salary you're at now, and you're older than you were as a kid. I started this when I had $0, right? And so it's just been tracking with me my whole life. So now that I make what I make now, and I give, and the percentage of that is a certain number, and then it's like, well, that seems like a lot of money. If I came to you and said, you need to give this much money out of your monthly check, some of you would be like, hold your roll, bro. What are you, insane? Because you haven't been doing it, and you haven't been taught it, or you've just refused it. And so it feels like a lot. You might have to start with a slower ramp, right? It's super easy for me because I started when I was a little kid, and I was taught these things along the way. And I hope that you grab a hold of it for you. And I know the challenge here is that I'm the pastor at a nonprofit who survives on the generosity of people. So the temptation today is to think, well, he's doing this for him. He needs to do this so he can have the church that he wants. And I just want to tell you, that's not the case. I'm doing this for you. In fact, I'll go so far as to say, if you don't trust me, if you don't like me, if it's your first time, you think I'm a total loser and a crook and I'm just going to take your money, then do it somewhere else. But you got to do it, because this is a matter of really, it's a matter of impacting your whole direction in your life if we'll get this advice and follow it, all right? So here's some myths for generosity. There's, number one, the first myth is that generosity is spontaneous, that you give when your heartstrings get pulled, right? And if that were the case, and there's nothing wrong with giving spontaneously, but if that were the case, then I would have had some videos about kids' lives that were changed today. I'd have you crying. I would dial it up. I'd ratchet up the shame and the guilt and the fear, and I'd be like, we need your dollars or people are going to die. That's the one way to do it, right? But generosity is actually not motivated by spontaneity. Spontaneous is just spontaneous, all right? But generosity is something different altogether. Number two, that generosity is chiefly directed or motivated and driven by cash flow, right? Like what I have in my pocket is what I can do, right? And that's how I think about generosity. If you come to me and I happen to have something, I can help you. But if I don't happen to have something, I can't help you. And it's really driven just by cash flow. And that's not true. Generosity is something completely different. In fact, generous people, the amount they have in their pocket has nothing to do with their plan for generosity. Has nothing to do with it. That's a myth. Number three is that the amount is what matters. And this is total not true. I mean, the amount isn't what matters at all. You go, oh, I don't know if I believe that. Well, that's what Jesus said, right? There's this story in Luke chapter 21 where he goes to a temple and he's watching people give their gifts. And these really rich people are giving big amounts. And they're throwing, I don't know what they're doing, if they're like clinking the coins, like showing it off, like, hey, look what I'm giving. Hey, Earl, how much did you give? It's nothing, like, I don't know how they did it. But then they saw a widow, and it's called the widow's mite. And she goes and she gives these two little tiny, like just shreds of metal. It's like almost nothing. It makes no difference to the life of the church. It's not going to change anything in the direction of the church. No one's making that as their salary. That's not going to help anything, right? But she gives it, and she walks away, and Jesus says to his followers, right there, that woman right there, she just won the generosity contest. That's the most generous woman here today. She was way more generous than those other guys. And the disciples were like, wait a second. They gave like $10,000. And she gave nothing. How is she the most generous? Because the amount isn't what matters. Amount doesn't impress God. What impresses God is percentage. Amount just means show off sometimes, but percentage equals trust. How much do you trust me? Jesus said they gave a little from their lot. She gave a lot from her little. And God is more impressed with the percentage than the amount. Somebody gives $1,000. Okay, great. That might be a crazy generous gift for them. But it might be what was left over from dinner last night. We don't know, right? You don't know based on the amount that somebody gives. Generosity is not tied to the amount. It's tied to the percentage that you're willing to trust God with in your life. And number four, the last myth is that rich people are generous. No, they're not. Rich people are rich. That's all they are. And generous people are generous. Right? You can be really rich and not be generous. You can be really poor and be really generous. I just want to make it clear today, I'm talking about generosity, not about riches. I'm talking about generosity, and generous people are just generous. And oftentimes, poor people are far more generous than rich people, because poor people know what it feels like to be poor. They know what it feels like to struggle. They know what it feels like to be in the trenches. And so if they have a little, they'll help somebody, and then they're going to need that help from somebody. So that's strategic as well to be generous when you're poor, because you might need the help from somebody else. So those are some myths that keep us from being generous. We think, I don't have a lot, so I can't be generous. Yes, you can. You can be generous with a little. You can be generous with a lot. Generosity is what God is after. That's the important thing. So what does it look like? If it doesn't look like pulling your heartstrings, if it doesn't look like what cash I have in my pocket, if it doesn't look like, I just felt like it, I was motivated, or it doesn't look like, well, I'm rich, so therefore, if it's not the amount, what is generous living? What does it mean to live generous? I want to give you three words, and talk about these 3 words and be done. The first one is premeditated. And I know that sounds like murder. It's not. It's premeditated, okay? And so, in other words, you have a plan. If you don't have a plan with your giving, with your generosity, you're not going to be very generous. You just won't be. You will never be as generous as you could be if you don't have a plan. You will be what we call a triple S giver. You'll be spontaneous, sporadic, and sparing in your giving. And that's okay, but it's not the best that you could do. It's not the best that God has for you. And we're going to talk about why that matters. But if you don't have a plan, that's how you'll do it. Ron Blue is a financial guy. He wrote a book called Master Your Money. And Ron Blue says there's 5 things that we do with money. There's 5 things that you and I both do with our money. Okay, we spend it, we repay debt, we pay taxes, we save it, and we give it. And usually, this is the order that most people grow up with. This is the order that we do our finances with. We spend it, we repay our debts, we pay the government our taxes, we save some, and then we give last. And he says, if that's the case, then this is the way you actually order your finances. Me first, creditors second, government third, me fourth, others last. And if you look at the second one, creditors second, that's really me second as well, right? Because you're paying back all the stuff you bought for you, right? And so if you do your finances like this, then it's me, gov, me, others. Me, government, me, others. And if that's the way you do it, and if you're not a Jesus person, you're not a faith person, somebody dragged you here because they offered a free lunch, how generous, but you're here because somebody begged you to show up, but you're not a Jesus person. You heard that we do some nice things, but you're not a Jesus person. You should consider what I'm about to say because I think it could help you. But if you're a Jesus follower in the room, if you're a Jesus person watching online, you're not allowed to live like this. You don't get to live like this. You signed up for a different subscription. You signed up for something wholly different because Jesus came to put others first. And if your finances or your priorities in any way put other people as a last priority, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it the way Jesus calls us to do it. And you're not truly following Jesus when other people come last. And if you live this way long enough as a Christian, you'll become a hypocrite because you'll have a moment in your life, a financial disaster, a crisis, and you'll call out to God, God, help me with my money. I want to involve you in my finances. And God's going to go, oh, now you want to involve me in your finances. I feel like I said something about this a long time ago. And you weren't interested in involving me in your finances when I asked you to be generous. And now you want my help. You'll turn into a hypocrite if you live like this as a Christian, as a Jesus person. We don't get to live like this. Let me just tell you this. I would feel awful calling you guys to do this if my wife and I weren't already doing this. I would feel terrible asking you to come be generous if I wasn't already being generous. If I wasn't living generous, I'd feel awful. But I just want you to hear me this morning. I don't feel awful. I feel great drawing you into this because this is good for you, and it's what Jesus calls us to do. And we can't follow Jesus and put others last. We got to flip it over. We got to flip it over because that's what Jesus did. So generous living starts with premeditated decision of where it's going to go, and it's got to go to others first. Just the way God set it up. Secondly, it's calculated. Continue with the murder theme, it feels like. Premeditated, calculated, all right? It's calculated. You have an amount in mind. You know how much you're going to give. It's planned. It's already prepared. You know what you've said yes to. And so you know I've calculated how much we can give. And percentage is better because percentage rises and falls with income. You make more money, you give more money. You make less money, you give less money. You pick an amount, you could make more and you're still there. You could give more. You pick an amount, you make less, and you're still trying to do that. You shouldn't be. You should, calculate with a percentage. Percentage is best. It should be calculated. You should know what you're doing. And the cool part about it is, because I've been doing this for so long, I have an amount of money. Molly and I have a percentage of our money that every month we get to pray over and go, God, will you just take it? It's not even ours. It's not ours. We've never planned to have it. We've never thought it was going to be ours. And so we know that this much money that comes in is already gone. It's just waiting for an opportunity. It's waiting to be used. It's so fun. It's so cool to give it away and see what God does with it. It's already calculated. It's already planned. We already know where it's going. And it's so much fun to do when you've already calculated it. And lastly, the third word, premeditated, calculated, and you've got to decide where it's directed or designated. It's designated, that you know where it's going to go. And here's how you can decide where it's going to go. Again, this is just advice. This is just wisdom that I think Andy has taught me that I'm passing on to you, is that you should give from a grateful heart and you should give from a broken heart. Those are the two places that you should really think about. What are you grateful for? That's the first question you should ask. What are you grateful for? What are you really grateful for? And you should support it. And that's why if you're grateful for your local church, you should have a plan to support your local church. If this isn't your church and you're just checking it out, you live somewhere else, you should support your local church. If this is your church and you're grateful for it, can I say some things about this church? Not about me, but about this church. In the last year, 1,200 new profiles have been created of people coming to check this church out. People are excited about what God is doing here. We had 200 middle school and high school kids go to camp this summer. We had 350 kids at our back to school bash. We have 111 kids coming up to most Sunday mornings at our kids' work. I am so grateful that my wife came here, didn't have a job here, wasn't supposed to work here, and said, I want our kids' ministry to be great for our kids. So she's worked her tail off at a job she didn't even want. She came this weekend to put monsters on windows so our kids would have fun. I'm so grateful that she'd be willing to do that. I'm so grateful for the volunteers that serve my kids. I'm so grateful for what's happening in this place. I'm so grateful. There's hundreds of men and women meeting in groups. There are hundreds of young adults. We've had 50 people go through Starting Point in the last year. I mean, I'm so grateful for this place. And if you're grateful for this place, you should have a plan to support it, because you don't want to roll up on a city that doesn't have any churches. As much as the churches have done wrong and been in the news and the bad press, you don't want to live in a city that has no good local churches. You don't want that. It's too important. And great local churches are supported by generous people who help support the mission and the cause to go serve our city. You don't want to live in a city that doesn't have great churches. So you should have a plan to support the local church that you love. And the second question you should ask is, what breaks your heart? What just bums you out? What bothers you to your core level that I just wish it wasn't like this? So somebody donated a bunch of money for a gun buyback the other day, which breaks their heart that there are dangerous guns in places they shouldn't be. That's awesome. You should do that. If you have a heart for the Food for Thought, that some of you said, we want to go support them. If you Redwood Gospel Mission, you go, we want to go to the banquet, we want to give there. Like, if it breaks your heart that people are living a certain way, if hunger breaks your heart, you should help with hunger. You should give there. You should give from a grateful heart, or you should give from a broken heart. Those are the two best places to give. See, saving is important, and saving prepares you to say yes to you. But living generous, it prepares you to say yes to what's important to you. And that's so fun. And by the way, when you prepare to live generously, it's so much easier to say no to people, because you already said yes. So when people come at you and you're like, oh, I feel so bad. I don't feel bad. No, I already give. I'm already generous. I already did what I can do. I'm sorry. I love you. I'll pray for you. I'll give you some names of people that might be called to. I'll help you. I'll come serve alongside you. But I can't give you anything because I already made a plan. I already gave it away. It's already out there working. So I can't give you any. And that's okay. And the best way to think about this, the easiest, simplest way, is we got to flip it upside down from what's normal. We have to give first, save second, and live on the rest. We give first because that's what Jesus did. We save second because that's wise. And we live on what's left. We don't live outside of our means. And I promise, if you'll do this, you're going to give more, you're going to save more, and you're going to live more responsibly. And the results will be in your life that you will have more joy because it's fun to give. You'll have more peace because you have more in the bank. And you will have more freedom because you're not tied to this consumption of our country. You're not tied to, I got to have everything. You've already decided, I'm going to live in this lane. This is what I've got. This is how I'm going to live. I'm not going to go, get. I'm not going to do the Smith Walmart catalog way of living. I'm going to do something different with my life. I'll end with this. Jesus says it's better to give than to receive. And what he's saying is the happiest people in the world are generous people, because you can't consume your way to happiness. It doesn't work like that. You cannot consume your way to happiness. Jesus said it is better to give than to receive. So if you only give random acts of giving, then every once in a while you choose what's better. But if you plan your life to live generous, then every day you live in the state of what's best. You live in the state of better. It is better to give than to receive. If you spend your whole life receiving, it's all about me, I got to consume for me, then you're choosing what's worse. You're choosing the less of the two. It is better. It's more fun. It brings more happiness and more joy to give. And if you don't trust me and you don't like me, don't do it here, but do it, because it'll change your life. So ask yourself this question. If you're married, ask with your spouse. If you're single, ask it to yourself this week. What organizations are we grateful for, and how can I support them? If it's this church, I want you to wrestle with it. How can you support the mission of this church to serve our city? What's that look like in your family? Number two, what breaks our heart? What really bothers us to the core that we want to get behind and support. And if you'll do that and you'll order your life around giving first, you'll be living like Jesus, and God will be first in your life. And he'll take the place, the rightful place of God in your life. And don't be fooled in thinking if you don't have a lot, you can't be generous. Everybody can be generous. Let me pray. God, thank you. Thank you for being generous to us, sending your son, that God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Would you help us to do the same? Would you help us to live generous, that we would organize and order our lives around generosity so that we follow you, that we choose to put others first as the rule, that we wouldn't put ourselves first, God. We're too small of a thing to live for. I'm too little of a thing to live for. Help me not to live for me. Help me to live for others the way Jesus taught us, God. Would you cause us? Would you challenge us? Would you help us to figure out what are we grateful for and what breaks our heart, and go support those things. Thanks for taking care of us, God. This is all your world, all your money, all your stuff. We're stewards. Help us to steward it well, that it wouldn't take control of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thanks for coming this morning. If it's your first time, I've got a gift for you in the back. Next week we start a brand new series. I won't even do a money series. We'll just do one-off new series next week. We'll see you then. Adios.